Ya fue, ya voy a entrar.
¿Acabaste la transmisión?
Sí, y ya lo volví a empezar. ¿Cómo hago para ponerle las diapositivas?
Ábrelas. En descargas. Acá en descargas. El otro, ese. No, el otro.
¿Este?
Ese. Es que las abriste en PDF. Listo.
Ya deben estar.
Listo. Entonces,
Así.
métete aquí.
Aquí.
No. Acá. Y métete aquí. Donde diga texto. Baja. Texto. Dale doble clic. Listo. Entonces, borra eso. Borra eso que no me había fijado. 13. Bueno, como quieras eso. En mayúscula. Solo que las en mayúscula que se llama. Es que es el título.
Ok. Listo. Ya, ahí ya quedó. ¿Ahora sí?
Sí.
Y ahora sí ya le doy en Go Live acá.
Doña Florita, muchísimas gracias. Estamos hablando.
Ya le doy en transmitir, ¿sí? Entonces ya quedó todo acá.
¿Listo?
¿Sí?
Sí.
No. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so sorry for what happened, so I'm going to begin again, so all the video gets recorded completely. So, well, I was telling you that what would happen if I told you that everything that happens to us in everything that is just like happening right now is like something that we decided to live at any moment, but we didn't know. So this is the conference number 13. It's called Laws of the Karma and Dharma. And well, let's just begin with the conference. So the law of karma is an universal law and is charged by the objective justice. The objective justice is a justice that we have in our world, and this justice is like pretty fair. Like there is nothing that they do that is not fair with us. In this case, we cannot compare it with maybe, I don't know, the justice that we have in our country or maybe in our city, because we know that politicians and judges, most of them just do what they want and what favors them the most, but they do not think in others. In this case, sorry, we will know that everything that happens to us is fair 100%. So, well, just let's talk a little bit about this and you will get a little bit more of knowledge. Remember that if you have like any kind of question, if you want to give any suggestion, any commentary, you can leave it on the chat, on the comments below, and that should be okay. We will answer them at the end of the conference. So let's continue. Well, what's the law of karma and the law of dharma? The law of karma is known by many terms, and these are the most known around the world, these four. So the first one is the law of recurrence. What is the law of recurrence? Well, everything that happens repeats itself, but with consequences. So remember that everything that you do has its consequences. In this case, for example, let's say that you are walking to your home and you see someone that it's like in front of you, and that person that is in front of you has like 5,000 pesos and they fall to the floor, and you take them, and instead of giving those 5,000 pesos to the person, you decide to take them with you. In the best of the cases, that person has the money for, I don't know, paying the bus, the taxi, for eating that night, getting home. But in the case that that person does not have any more money, and maybe that money was for getting home, then that person has to suffer because has to walk until arrived to home. Maybe someone is waiting for that person. Maybe I don't know, has to do homework for next day. So in this case, we need to take into account that what we made was not stealing 5,000 pesos. What we did was making that person suffer. And that suffering is what we are going to pay. So for example, if we stole those 5,000 pesos, and in a next occasion someone is going to do that to us because we need to pay for what we did, that person is not going to steal those 5,000 pesos from us. That person, what it's going to do is that is going to make us suffer the same way that we made suffer that other person. And it can be not the same person, it can be not the same situation, it cannot be like with money. Yeah, they can steal from you something that makes you suffer the way you made suffer that other person. So it's pretty important to think previously to doing something, because always is going to come back. But what you pay, remember, is not the money or the object, or no, what you pay is the suffering that you cost to that person. Then we have the law of talion. So these four laws are so similar. In this case, this law of talion says an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. So we can take an example maybe from movies that they are a little bit exaggerated. So I don't know if maybe you have seen any violent movie or something like that, that if I made any kind of danger to your son, to your wife, to anyone who is in your life, then you are going to do the same kind of danger to someone that is in my life. Or maybe if I took your car, you're going to take mine. If I broke your window, you're going to broke my window. Yeah, it's that same thing. So whatever you do, it's going to come back to you. Then we have the law of cause and effect. And well, it says that there exists no cause without an effect, and no effect without a cause. So let's think of a snowball. Yeah, everything that you do have an effect, and that effect is going to have another cause, and then again and again and again and again, and it's going to be repeating itself all the time. So sorry, so it never has an end until the moment that you learn. Okay, so what do I mean with learning? Well, if I want to do something bad to someone, but that, like, I decide not to do it, then I broke that, and it does not continue making a biggest snowball. So remember always the saying that do not do to others what you do not want them to do to you. Okay, so if you don't want someone to steal I don't know, your computer, well, do not steal the computer, or do not steal anything from anyone. You know, if you don't want someone to criticize or judge you, well, then do not judge others or do not criticize others. Okay, and then we have the law of equality. So what is the law of equality? What we give is what we get. Okay, so we need to think every time that we do something for someone or something to someone is that we do not expect nothing in exchange. And most of the time we would like to be doing a lot of good things for others, but not because maybe that's going to happen to me afterwards, or because I'm interested in that thing that it's going to come back to me. No, do it because you want that person is a little bit happier, that person is a little bit, I don't know, that their life is a little bit easier. Do it in that way, but not because you are interested in that thing. Because if you do not do true acts, well, I don't know, I think that there is no, like, as in the suffering, you pay for the suffering. If you have no interest, then you will get someone that is doing things for you with no interest. It's the exact same thing. It's not just the physique. It's as well what you feel. Well, so as you can see, these four laws are pretty similar. The summary of this is you do, then the world does to you. Okay? What you give, you get. That's the summary of these laws. Well, so we need to reflect on something to learn about that. When we do certain things, we don't see them as bad until they are done to us. What does it mean? That maybe for you, I don't know, to laugh or to make a joke to someone is funny and it's not that bad. But then someone makes a joke to you and you don't like it. And you can say, but I don't know, the joke that I made to her or to him was funny and was not that like heavy. But maybe for that person it was that heavy. And maybe until the moment that someone makes a joke to you, you understand that the thing is not which joke did you make to that person. The actual thing is that you made a joke and now someone is making a joke to you. And they are not that funny at all, So it's important to reflect on what we are going to do and what people does to us, so we can always know the reason why is that happening to us instead of judging and criticizing others, and that we learn the lesson. So in this course, we, as I told you, we are here to learn. Okay, so the law of karma is the basis of this school and of all our learning. And reflecting on what is returned to us by our actions will make us finally understand why those things are happening to us. So I'm going to give you an example. Your mother tells you not to touch the fire because you are going to get burned. And then you don't believe to her. And no matter how many times your mother tells you, don't touch the fire, you go and put your hand there. And at the moment that you put your hand there, you get burned and you learned. So that same thing is happening in here. All this world is a preparation, and they tell you, well, you can do these things, you cannot do these things, you have free decision on everything that you do, but know first what you are doing instead of just doing it because you want to, So what is karma? I don't know, maybe some people can think that it's something pretty bad that it's going to happen to you, that it's something that, that you do not deserve, that the world is against you, that you are the best warrior of God, I don't know, but actually karma is just a consequence from your acts. So it is what we owe or what we have to pay for the bad deeds we do when we allow our different psychological eyes or D's to act instead of our consciousness. Okay, so what happens in here? That everything that you have done, as I explained previously on the laws, everything that you do to others, they are going to do it to you. Okay, and you have to pay it. And there is no debt left unpaid. Okay, so it's not like, I don't have enough time in this life to pay everything bad that I have done, or I've done just good things. So for the good things there is as well a reward, but in this case, if you end your existences, then you will need to end paying all the karma that you have. Okay, remember that we owe karma from the last 7 existences. We do not owe karma from all our existences, because remember that we have 108 and for many times. So imagine, it's just the last 7, and we can just pay it until the end of our existences. Or if you want to continue this walk or this path for the self-realization, then you have to pay it in this existence when you are going to get your self-realization, and you have to pay it in cash. Why do they say that in cash? Because we make a connection between dharma and money, because it's an easier way to understand it. So let's say, what is dharma? So the dharma is the cosmic money that we receive for each of the good or conscious acts that we do. So the karma is for the bad actions that we do, and the dharma is for the good actions that we do. So everything that you do has a payment, and everything is 100% fair. And positive with negative, then they go neutral. So in this case, good acts pay bad acts. Okay. This dharma gets into a small jar. It's like we have a bank account, and in that bank account, they pay you for all those good things that you are doing. So, for example, I'm a teacher. So let's say that every time that I teach a class, they, instead of just like giving me the money physical or something like that, they put it in my bank account. Each time that I do it, they put it in there. And well, it is found, or this like small jar is founded in the tribunal of karma. I'm going to explain you later what is this like tribunal and how it happens and all this. For the moment, just imagine that you have that money in a bank account, and we get paid for all the acts that we do. Okay, well, the conscious or good acts that we do. So you will say like, well, what is the difference between a good act and a conscious act? Well, every conscious act is a good act, but not every good act is a conscious act. Why? Because maybe you do not have this information. Maybe you do not know that Dharma exists. Maybe you do not know, or you do not think like, well, this is the best thing I can do. Yeah, you know, maybe you just do good things because you like to do them, because your feelings tell you to do that. For example, you're going walking on the street, you see an animal, a cat, a dog, I don't know, and you can see that it's hungry, and you have something to eat, and you decide to give that to the animal instead of eating it yourself, because maybe you're full, maybe you do not need it, or maybe you want to just share it, you know, and you do not have the consciousness of doing it. Maybe you just felt sorry for the animal, maybe you just thought that it was suffering and you didn't want him or it to suffer more, and you're doing a good act. But the conscious acts are those acts where we help others to continue this path of self-realization. It's important to know that it's different, that we help someone, that we support someone, advise someone, and that we make something compulsory for someone, you know. So this course of self-knowledge at the first conference tells you, you cannot tell someone what to do. Like, it's free, and everyone decides if they want to continue this path or not by their own. So one thing is that maybe someone tells you, I feel so bored when I do any practice alone. I don't want to do it alone. Can you come with me and do the practice with me? Okay, yeah, it's good. You're supporting that person to continue on this path. But other thing is that you go and tell that person every day, hey, you have to do the practice, and you have to do this, and you have to do that, because you must continue this. No, that's not a conscious act, okay? So they are different. Well, this dharma that we are winning, or that we have, is transferred daily to the bank of dharma. So that bank account that we have has a specific bank. So let's say, for example, Bank Colombia or Da Vivienda, or I don't know, any bank that you have there. In this case, is the Bank of Dharma. And in this case, in difference from the karma that is from the last 7 existences, our dharma can be saved for many existences. Okay? And well, because of our lack of consciousness, we do not know how to utilize it or how to use it. Why? Because you will say, well, if I have money to pay my debts, well, the obviously is to take that money and pay the debts. But I know that some of you, including me sometimes, we have debts, and we, instead of paying that money to our debts, we just decide to spend it in other things. For example, let's say that I have a debt with my bank of, I don't know, $100, and I win $20. From those $20, I spend 10 in my things, and then those other $10 I can pay them to my debt. But as I do not know how to use my money and no one has taught me, then I decide to spend those $10 that are left in, I don't know, maybe in a jean, in a shirt, in a phone, in a computer, you know, and I'm not paying my debt. So this same is happening in here. Maybe you have a good life. Maybe you have the dharma and they are paying you that dharma, because remember that if you can pay all the karma, then the fair thing is that they pay you all your dharma. But well, you are in this moment using it in things that, well, actually it's not that they are not value, but maybe there are some other things or some other like debts that are a little bit more urgent. Okay, so let's say that you have your dharma, and in this course we are going to teach you how to move that dharma to that karma. At the moment that you are choosing to use that money to pay your karma, in that moment you will be able to know how to use that money, and at that like in that moment you will use it with consciousness. Okay, allow me just 1 minute, please. Okay, yeah, we are still on live. So in this case we are going to teach you a practice where you are going to learn to make that transference of money. Let's say when you take your phone and you send money to someone, is that same, but we're going to teach you that practice in where you're going to learn how to move your dharma to your debts with the karma. So what is the tribunal of karma? We have a biggest tribunal, or the biggest tribunal, which is the tribunal of objective justice, and is formed by many places where the divine law is carried out. So let's say that it's a pretty big tribunal, and it is divided in different places, and it is divided in each level of consciousness that we have. So maybe for those who hadn't seen the conference, we have different bodies, and we have different levels of consciousness, as it says. So in here in a physical world we have 48 laws, but then when we go up in another level of consciousness that can be your vital body, it is 24 laws, and so until you get to just 3 laws. So for each one of those levels you have a different tribunal. Why? Because you are going to see that these tribunals are guided or managed by Anubis and his 42 judges. So why Anubis and his 42 judges? If Anubis is 1 and the judges is 42, so that makes 43. So, well, Anubis counts as 6. Okay, so Anubis is 6, and then 42, that makes 48. Okay, but in each level of consciousness, as you are having less laws, then some of those judges begin to get out. Okay, and as well, it's important to remember that our physical world is represented in ourselves. Okay, so our physical world is us, but in bigger. So if we have 48 laws in the physical world, then inside of us we have those 48 laws represented as the 48 chromosomes that we have in each one of our cells. It means in our DNA. Okay, and in each one of the centers in the human machine we find the tribunal of justice that manage the laws in the corresponding dimension. So our different centers have a body corresponding to them. So that's why the centers represent as well the levels of consciousness, and we can find in them the different tribunals that we have. Let's continue. So in this case, where we are talking about the great tribunal where we pay the karma and with dharma, we can find it in our sexual center. And in here we can see how our psychological defects are eliminated, how the liberation of consciousness is negotiated in each one of them, and each compromise that that each of the defects had to carry out. Okay, so every time that you eliminate a defect, then you get a compromise with it. Okay, and well, who is the one that is making those negotiations? The person that is making those negotiations is our mother, because, well, she has the love to eliminate the defects, and she is negotiating with Anubis. Okay, so if by any chance you you do this, well, your mother does these negotiations and then you do not continue on the path, or maybe you do something and not follow what your mother says, then your mother is going to begin to get in debt and in debt and in debt, and, well, that is not the idea. The idea is that we continue making dharma and continue fulfilling our compromises, so she does not get in debt with Anubis. And, well, as well, we have commitments with the real being of others, not just ourselves. So, how do we produce karma? Well, we can produce karma in 3 different ways: with our acts, with our words, and with our omissions. And you will say, well, we have karma for everything, so I do an action, I have karma. I say a word, I have karma. I do an omission because he's not acting, and I have a karma as well. Like, what's happening? But no, remember that the origin of all this is our thoughts and our feelings. Okay, so what you feel and what you think is going to take you to act, to say your words, and to do omissions. But these thoughts and these feelings, they do not produce karma. Imagine if they did. Imagine if, I don't know, maybe today I am going to give you an example of how your thoughts are 100 or 1,000 times plus heavier than what you act or what you say. So today I have a bike. I have a motorbike. And today I was riding on my bike. And I was like coming, and then a pretty big bus came out to the street and did not see me. And it's like a two-way street. So I began to like put the horn so high, and the bus didn't hear me, or I don't know if maybe just ignored me. I really don't know. And I had 2 options at that moment. I had the option to just get scared, let myself with my feelings, with my thoughts, try to just accelerate, so if it beat me hard or something like that. I don't know, like I imagined so many things. I even saw like how I got like I imagined how I got into like down the wheels of the bus. My mind imagined a lot of things in 5 seconds. I don't think that it was more. But then I decided to just breathe in, breathe out, eliminate that, and I saw a little bit gap, like a little gap that it was in middle of the car that was coming and the bus that was going, and I just went in that gap. And I survived and nothing bad happened. And after I went through that gap, I began to feel so angry. And I began to say like, I am going to say to that person that is going to die. I began to imagine all that. And then I said, no, you do not do that, because maybe that person made that thing to you because you had made that to someone else before. And I began to breathe in, breathe out, eliminate defects, and I just continued my path. Yeah, I didn't say anything to the person, nothing. I continued with my path. So why I did that? Because when we are talking about karma, we need to learn how to identify the karma, and we need to learn how to process and how to understand the karma. So we say, well, for everything we do, we get karma, but for everything you do, you can as well broke that karma that you have to pay, and you can just change your destiny. So the first step that you need to do when you are suffering or when you're passing through karma is to don't judge or don't criticize the person that is doing that to you. So in this case that I give you the example on how that bus closed me and almost just crashed me. So I had to like just say, well, maybe he didn't hear me. Maybe I was just in a point where he couldn't see me and he didn't did it on intention, Like there are many reasons why you have an enormous buzz and you cannot see someone, you cannot hear it. So do not judge that person, do not criticize that person. Then the second step is to think. Well, maybe at that moment you're driving, or riding the bike, so you cannot think about it. But maybe afterwards, when you stop riding or driving, you can think, well, when did I made that to someone else? Remember that it cannot be the exact same act. Yeah, you can say it like, I've never driven a bus, but maybe on your bike, maybe on your car, maybe when you were walking sometime, you just got into the way of someone else and that person got harmed. So it's every little detail where the intention was kind of the same. And you will see how you have made that to someone in this existence. You have always in this existence made someone similar to, so you can study it. And well, yeah, maybe in other lives you have made that as well, but there is always a minimum detail in this existence that you have made, so you had to live that experience and learn from it. So you just identify if you have made it before, why you have made it before, and you begin just to delete and eliminate that defect. Okay? Then the third step is that you recognize that this is not the only time that it's going to happen to you, as you have made it to others before many times. So you have to learn from it. So that is going to give you the motivation to say, okay, I need to pay this karma. Well, I'm going to earn dharma to pay this karma. Okay? So that is the motivation. And then the first step is just begin to do sacrifice for humanity. Sacrifice for humanity is not all you begin to do conference or just you begin. No, maybe you are going through a difficult process in your life. You received this knowledge and it helped you a lot. Maybe you can tell someone that it's going through the same process, hey, this helped me. Would you like to watch it? Yeah, So earn dharma is so easy. You just have to do things with love. And well, so just to do a brief summary, we produce karma through acts, through words, and through omissions. Omissions, why? Maybe because you can help someone, but you get so lazy that you don't want to help that person, and you know that you can do it. Maybe because you can share this, and you don't want to do it because you feel ashamed of it. Maybe when you want to prepare something, I don't know, if you have a wife, a partner, a husband, I don't know, boyfriend, girlfriend, and that person arrives home so tired and you are rested and you can give them maybe food or maybe a glass of water or something like that, and you just decide to stay there instead of doing something of love for others. So when you let your defects guide your mind to do not do good acts for others, in that moment you are winning karma as well. Okay, so we already know how we produce karma, how we can identify that karma, and how can we just broke those laws of recurrence that it's happening again, because we already learned. Okay, and remember that everything begins from our thoughts and our feelings. So if we can kill all those defects that made us feel that and that made us think that, then at that moment we will be able to break the pattern. Okay. Types of karma. So, the types of karma are actually not difficult, and it's not like you have to learn them by memory or something like that. It's just to explain you a little bit more how this works. So, we have first the individual karma. So, it's the karma from each person, So, I don't know if maybe sometime had happened to you that you are at home and you get sick, you get the flu, but no one else does. You are the only one who gets the flu. And you say, but why, if I take care of myself, why no one else has it? I have so bad differences. I don't know. But actually it's a karma that just you have to pay. Yeah? Maybe you did something and you have to pay it with illness, but it's just for you. Okay? Then we have the family karma. So it is they gather people with debts among themselves. So it's important to know that your family is not only the people who you share blood with, you know, because maybe I'm going to give you an example from myself. I live in Colombia. My father lives in Australia, and he is family from blood. But I do not live, like, I have lived with him maybe 1 year in whole my life. So, yeah, in my whole life, sorry. So I think that I do not have that many debts with him, but on the other way, my mother is married to, well, to his husband, the father of my brother, and I have lived with him since I have memory, like I have lived many things with him, and he has stayed like with us a lot of time, and I have shared a lot of things with him, but he is not family by blood. So think that it's not just family, but it's the people who you spend a lot of time with. It's the people that you have like many moments together, and you have to pay debts in between you. So I don't know if you have realized that with your family or the people that you lived a lot with, those people have a magic effect in you for getting your defects out. So I don't know, maybe you're on the street, you see anyone, and that person tells you something that bothers you, but you have the patience to tell that person, well, no, this is wrong for A, B, and C reason. But then you got home, and I don't know, your brother tells you that exact same thing, and you get so angry, and you begin to get red, and you say like, but why do you think that? And you begin like to scream, and and it's the exact same thing. Like they have that special thing, magic, that makes you feel everything that you feel a little bit higher, or yeah, like harder. So in that case, it's, well, due to that, like the people that you live with or that you spend a lot of time with are people who have similar defects with you, and that have similar debts that you must pay with them. Okay. Then we go with the collective karma. So people that are affected by the same debt, like accidents, attacks. So maybe it's not people that you live with every day of your life, that you see every day of your life, but maybe you get an accident, or maybe I don't know, like you are in the bank, and they begin to do like they want to steal the money, and you get trapped in the bank with other people. Yeah. So maybe you do not know the person that is next to you, but you have to pay that karma with with those people. Then we go with the regional karma. So is the karma that is determined by a geographical region. So droughts, endemics. Here in my country, we can see that especially and pretty good. Why? Because we have some regions of the country where we call them red zones, because they are like attacked and defended, and like everything in those places is going around certain groups that are not with the law, like are against the politicians and the law, and yeah. So those groups are the ones that manage those regions, and it's so strong at the point that, well, already told you I'm a teacher, and when I have to go to teach classes in those places, I have to ask permission to those groups to enter, so I do not get in danger. So in here where I live, I can go out at, I don't know, 11, 12, 1 a.m. and nothing is going to happen to me, even if I go walking alone. But if I go out in those places at 8 at night, I can get killed, because they manage the different time schedules and everything. So you have to ask for permissions and stuff. Obviously, it's not in all the country, but are specifically zones. So that's a regional karma, like it's in a specific place. Then we go with the national karma. So it's the karma of any country, like civil wars, dictatorships. So one pretty good example that we have just now in here in Latin America is Venezuela. Venezuela is suffering from a pretty long dictatorship in this moment, and has suffered a lot of things. So that's a pretty good example. You have seen how people needed to go out from the country because they didn't had anything to eat, anything to do. So in this case, well, you sorry, you just like can see how all the country is suffering this. Then we go with the continental karma, and this is the karma of the continents. So well, Africa, America, well, I don't know, Asia, Europe, yeah, like every continent that we know. And it's pretty known that maybe, for example, in Africa, there are many places where they are so poor. Like they have that in common in many countries from Africa. I don't say all because Africa is pretty big and we know that there are some rich cities and places, but most of the countries suffer from, yeah, like from money, food, well, they have a pretty big karma. So you can see that it's actually like the continent. Then we get to the world karma, which is the karma of all humanity. So it's special and it's important that you recognize that it's the humanity and not like the animals or all the world, you know? So it's from the humanity, so world wars, world epidemics. We just have a pandemic for the COVID-19 and that was a world karma because we as humanity suffered it. We all had someone who died for the COVID. We all had someone who lost their job, who got so sick. You know, like every single person in the world, or well, most of the people in the world had suffered in any or other way. So it was a world karma. Then we go with the planetary karma. And the planetary karma is the karma of the planet Earth. So it's from all the Earth. Yeah, so for example, we have the global warming. You see, so from the global warming suffer as well plants, animals, like everyone in the world is in the planet is suffering from it. Different from the humanity karma, you know, like the world karma. That's the difference between they two. So the world karma is humanity and planetary karma is the whole planet. Okay. Then we go with these karmas that they do not have a name that like similar to something that we know in this moment to remember it, but they are just easy to explain. So first we have the Saya karma, and it's a natural tie between a man and a woman from past sexual relations. Today we can see that actually relations are not just between women and men, so between two persons, I'm going to say. And those ties that we have in sexual relations make us have this Saya karma. So what happens? For law of recurrence, that as I explained to you before, what happened before is going to happen again with its consequences. Then if you had someone, like any person, let's say Papita, you had Papita in a previous life and you had relations, sexual relations with that person in another life. In this life, that person is going to come here and like just by recurrence is going to ask you to have a relationship with that person, or maybe just have sexual relations, you know. And at the moment that maybe you want to break that recurrence and you say to that person, no, I don't want anything to you, I don't know, because I'm working, because that person is going to suffer. And that suffering that you are causing that person because you are not completing the recurrence law with that person is going to make you have karma. So you have to pay the karma for making that person suffer. And this karma, actually, sometimes if it's pretty strong, can become in a yoga karma. Okay? So what is the yoga karma? It's the loss of a partner when it's most needed in the work. So it's important to remember in this part that for doing this work, for getting your self-realization, you need a partner. You will always need a partner from the opposite gender. Okay? And your karma or your yoga karma is that you lose that person, that you do not have the person for your self-realization and for the creation of the bodies. So it comes from the Saja karma. So if your Saja karma is so strong, it creates the yoga karma. And well, you can negotiate it, you can just ask the law, like, well, hey, I can do this, I can give you this, and then you can give me a partner, and they tell you like, okay, you have to work this and that, those defects, you have to as well compromise yourself to do this or that thing. We have an example in here from our partners, from a partner of us who had this karma, the yoga karma, and he couldn't have his partner due to this Saja karma, and he asked to the Tribunal of Justice to tell him what he had to work, and he offered to open different places to teach these conferences in different places of the country. When he opened the last place that he was compromised to open, and when he had worked all those defects that he had to work to be with his partner, at that moment his partner arrived, and this is the moment that they are still together, and it has been like 10 years, I think. So you can negotiate that karma so your partner arrives to your life. Now we get to the duro karma, and the duro karma is not negotiable. So all the karmas that you had seen before this one, from the individual to the yoga karma, are negotiable, but the duro karma is not negotiable. Why? Because this is only, like, this can be only paid through illness and pain. Is the only way to pay this duro karma, and is the debt accumulated for the crimes against the Holy Spirit. Okay, so you say, well, which are those crimes against the Holy Spirit? Well, all your orgasms, your ejaculations, everything that you have done against the actual sexual relation, the pure relation, against the actual reason why you are having like sexual relations, or well, sexuality, everything that you do against that, then that is a crime against the Holy Spirit. So you have to pay that through pain and illness. Okay, and you will say like, well, but I had many in my life, maybe, or you hadn't, or and maybe you get scared and you say like, no, but this must be a pretty strong illness, because imagine the amount of I don't know, that pleasure that I had in my life with sexual pleasure. Well, I don't know. Do not get scared. Life is not going to give you something that you cannot support. It's like in the school. You cannot go to second grade before going through first grade. The same is happening in here. You are not going to have a pain, or you are not going to have an illness that you cannot support and that you cannot get through, because your own self is going to give you something that you can support. So each time that you are working on yourself, your level of consciousness is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and with that level of consciousness, you're going to be able to support more pain and more illness. So at the moment that you can support this pain and illness, you are going to have the consciousness to go through it. So do not get scared with this. There's nothing unfair that happens in here. Okay, now we go with the Katansya karma. So this is the karma and the karmic debt of the gods for the errors. So you will say, well, if they are already gods, if they have already self-realized, why do they commit mistakes? Like, why they do that? And I will tell you that they do that for us. So I'm going to give you an example. Master Jesus came here a lot of years ago, so exactly 2024 years ago. And he asked, like, everything that he did and that the Bible says in metaphors was done. And he did that for giving us more years to live, and that more souls could self-realize. Okay, so I'm sorry, for like in these years, I don't know, Santo Tomas, Samael, Ravolu, there are masters that had self-realized among many others. And remember that each time that a person gets self-realized, it gives a lot of dharma to those gods that decided to give us this time. So they help to pay those gods this karma. So going back to the example, when the Master Jesus gave us these years to get more souls self-realized, he as well took the decision that everything that has happened in these years was going to happen, like the world wars, everything that has to be with violence, every bad act. And the one who has to pay for all those sufferings and for everything that is happening, do not take it wrong. It's not like I am going to steal someone. I am going to steal, I don't know, a phone from someone. But because Jesus was the one who gave us that time, then he's the one who has to pay that. No. You pay for your acts, but as well there's a lot of suffering going through these years. So, the Master Jesus is the one that has to pay all the karma for all these things that had happened through these years. Master Samael and Ravolu as well. They gave us some more, little bit more years, and they have to pay this karma as well. So these are mistakes that are with your consciousness. They are not mistakes that are done because, you didn't notice as the mistakes that we made. They think about it and they decide to pay that karma so they can give more years to people who want to get self-realized. Okay? We already know what is karma, what is dharma, where it does get saved, how it gets divided, the types of karma, how we produce karma, how we identify karma and work on it. But now we say, I already identified it, I already everything. How do I pay it? How do I take all that karma that I have out of my life or my destiny or my existence? How I pay it? So there are 5 different ways of paying karma for those who have received the objective knowledge. Why just for those who have received the objective knowledge? It's not like, you can pay it and you cannot pay it. No. You cannot use a toy if you do not know how to use it, You cannot spend money that you do not know that you have. It's the same thing in this case. So these are 5 ways for the people who had received the objective knowledge, but it's not like it's something that we want to take apart some people or that we want to move away some people. It's just that we want this knowledge to be to everyone, that everyone received it and that everyone can pay with these 5 different ways, but you need to know them to use them, So that's why. So the first one is with dharma or cosmic money. So if I have money and I have a debt, I can go and pay it, So you can begin to produce dharma in your life, and for producing dharma in your life, good actions or conscious actions. Okay. Then we have with pain that it's negotiable. Okay. So pain that wasn't negotiated before, but could have been, So maybe you say I have to pay this with pain. Instead of suffering that pain, I am going to do this or that. Okay, so you just negotiate it. Okay. Then we go with pain that it's non-negotiable. Okay, so there is some pain that we need to suffer, yes or yes. That was the pain that I was talking to you when I was talking about the karma duro. So this is for the crimes that are against the Holy Spirit, that I already explained you what it is. So you just can pay them with pain and illness. Okay, so we have until the moment 3. Dharma, pain that is negotiable, and pain that is not negotiable. Then we go with charity. So there is a saying that says the lion of law is dominated by charity, helping others. Okay, so every time that you help another, every time that you do their life a little bit easier, a little bit I don't know, peaceful, and especially when you help others to get in this path of self-realization, the lion of law is dominated, and it means that the law goes with you and help you pay that karma. Okay. And then we have with objective negotiations with the law. Okay, so making commitments. So I say, maybe you do not know the karma that you want to pay, but you say like, hey, I want to do this negotiation, and I compromise myself to do this, and that. For example, the example that I was giving you from the partner that had the karma from the partner, and that he compromised himself to do some things for getting the partner. Okay, so we are going to teach you in this conference a practice where you are going to learn how to do these negotiations with the law. And when we were talking about the Dharma or cosmic money, well, do you remember that at the beginning I was saying to you that you could move the money from the bank of Dharma to the bank of karma? Well, there is a practice as well, and I am going to teach it to you just now. Okay, so the practices are, the first one, transfer of the funds. Okay, so let's remember that for every practice that we are doing in here in self-knowledge, we need to be concentrated in the practice. We need to be all the time thinking in what we are doing. Okay, you cannot be like you're with your friend and your friend comes and you say, oh no, yeah, begin to talk to me, and I will just begin my practice and do it and everything is fine. No. Okay, so you need to be just doing this and be concentrated on it. Okay, so well, the first thing that we need to do is ask our Father that it be Him who makes the transfer from the bank of Dharma to the bank of karma. So even though that when we eliminate defects, our mother is the one that makes the negotiation, in this case, our Father is the one that makes this movement, this transference of money from the bank of Dharma to the bank of karma. Okay? So first we ask our Father, I don't know, like it can be as you prefer, yeah, like the petition can be as you prefer. You just say like, dear Lord, I ask you to please, I don't know, help me doing this, help me doing that, yeah, or in this case to transfer the money that I have, or well, yeah, the Dharma that I've earned to the karma bank. Okay, so that's what you have to ask. So please help me in this practice to move or transfer from the bank of Dharma, the Dharma to the bank of karma. Okay, then you're going to stand with your feet together, as you can see here in the image, and you're going to raise both arms to the height of the shoulders, forming a cross across your chest. Okay, so it needs to be like this. Okay, and it's pretty important that you have your palms facing up. They cannot be downwards. They need to be upwards. Why? Because if I put something, like for example, I put my phone in here in my hand, well, it's going to have the. But if I do this, and if I do not have it with my fingers, well, it's going to fall. Yeah. So it's exactly the same thing. You need to put your hands facing upwards, and they need to be at the height of your shoulders. Okay? Then, when you have raised both arms to the height of the shoulders, and with your palms facing up, then what you are going to do is that you are going to begin with your right arm to put it like 45 degrees up. Okay, so what is 45 degrees up? Maybe like the height that you have in your head, that way, but straight. Okay, so that's approximately 45 degrees if you do not know how to measure it. So first you go with your right arm up, and your left arm goes down the same amount. So it's kind of like you have in here your waist, well, like that height. And then you're going to change them. Okay, then your left arm is going to be up and your right arm is going to be down. Okay, so you're going to change them. And then you're going to go back to the place where you began. So you do right up, left down, then left up, right down, and then you do the cross with your arms. Okay, and that is for 1. Okay, so that one, when you are doing that one, you are going to mantralize ni. Okay, but you need to do different mantras in that. So we have 5 different mantras. Okay, so you begin with the first one. So ni, then you go with ne, ne, and so with no, nu, and na. Okay, every time that you are pronouncing each mantra, you need to concentrate or focus on the next areas. Okay, so ni is in between your eyebrows, ne is in your larynx, no is in your chest, nu is on your belly button, and na is in between the belly button and the pelvis. Okay, and you need to do, well, these 5. Okay, so you begin with the first ni, then you go with ne, no, nu, na, and when you finish those 5, then that becomes the first process. Okay, you are going to do this 9 times total. Okay, so you begin with the first one, ni, ne, no, nu, na, it goes 1. Yeah, then you begin with the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. In this practice of transfer of funds, the first 8 are for us. Okay, so it's Dharma that we are moving to our bank of karma. The 9th is going to help those gods to pay that katansya karma, because we need to be grateful because we are here due to them. So because they are giving us the option and because they are helping us to stay in here, then we are helping them to pay that karma that they need to pay for giving us the opportunity to be here. So that's why the 9th is going to be for them and to help them pay that karma katansya. Okay, well, then when we have finished the 9th, it's not like you are just going to put your arms down. Yeah, it's like you are here, and when you're here, you're going to begin to do like if you were going to hug someone and then cross your arms in front of your chest, your right hand on top of your left hand. Okay, so right in front or on top of the left hand, and you are going to be mantralizing the mantra turn. Okay, is something pretty important to take into account in here, that for mantralizing turn, you cannot just say like turn. No. So when you begin to close your arms, you try to do it a little bit slowly, and that each letter of turn is pronounced kind of the same time. So it should be turn. You see, like you try to do it the exact same time each time that you are doing it. Okay, so try to divide it. It does not have to be exactly like 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds, but just like kind of equally, and that's all for the transfer of funds. It's not that like long, is not that how you say that, yeah, like you do not spend that much time doing it. Actually, there are no many practices in here that take a lot of time, but they actually are going to help you a lot. So it's not that you say, I don't have time. You don't spend more than 10 minutes doing this practice, and that is the time that maybe you spend watching videos in TikTok or Facebook or I don't know, any comedy show at YouTube, and you can do it like before sleeping or something like that, or as soon as you wake up. Like the idea is that you're strong for doing the practice, gives you the time to do it. And do not think that it's going to take a lot of time. Just get up and begin to do it. Always is important that you do the belly lean and the magic circle previous to doing any practice. Okay? Now we go with the second practice. So I was talking to you and telling you like some ways of paying that karma is negotiating it with the law, you know. So for negotiating it with the law, there is a special practice as well that is not going to take you more than 5 minutes to do. So in this case, you have to do the same position where you were standing up, but now you are going to lay down. You have to lay down on the floor, maybe on your bed, you know, some place where you have space to do it. And in there, you need to pray and ask your Father, my Lord, my God. I beg you, if it's your will, that you go to the heart temple of the divine justice, once there to negotiate with Anubis and his 42 judges in order to. At that moment, you are going to say what you want to get from that negotiation that you are doing, okay? So, for example, I want to have my partner. Or, for example, if you have in an alcohol problem, I want to, help for understanding how I can eliminate my alcohol defect, or my drugs defect, or my lazy defect, you know, some defects that we have every day in our lives. So help me comprehend, or help me eliminate, help me have the strength, you know. And instead, I am going to do, I'm going to meditate 5 minutes every day for some time. It's pretty important that at the moment that you are doing a compromise with the divine justice, you do it in a qualitative and in a quantitative way. What does it mean? Well, quantitative way, I'm going to do it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, for 1 month. Yeah? How many times are you going to do it? And then, what are you going to do it? That's the qualitative. So I'm going to meditate. I am going to share this information. I am going to eliminate defects. I am going to, like the compromise that you're going to do. And how many times? Why? Because it's important that you have clear in your mind what are you going to do and for how long are you going to do it, so you know when this had ended. Okay? And, well, you can tell me like, well, if I have or you recommend to do this practice every day, what if I don't have anything to negotiate, you know? What if I just want to do the practice? Well, you can just ask for something that is going to help you in your everyday. So in this case, for example, you can ask for strength, for health, for protection or power to work on the 3 factors. And you do not have to offer anything for that, because, well, you are just asking for help to be working on your self-realization. So there's a saying which says, ask and you will be given. So yeah, you just do this practice, and in the petition you says, in order to get the strength, protection, power and health, or just health, or for working on the 3 factors. And that's all your petition. Okay, you do not have to give anything instead of it. So, well, you are going to be lying down, and you do the first time the petition, then you sit down and you do the second time the petition. So, as you can see, you are going to repeat it or do it 6 times. So the first time you're laying down, second time you're sit, third laying down, fourth sit, fifth laying down, sixth sit, and when you are sit on the 6th one, then at that moment you end it. Okay, so when you have completed the 6th time, you can just put your arms down and give the thanks to our Father for, well, helping us in this negotiation. As well, we need to ask if that negotiation was approved or not. How we know that this has been approved? Dreams, in astrals, meditation, or maybe they just give that to you. So you ask to please help you understand in your meditations how to eliminate the lazy defect, you know. So you sit down that day and you begin to do your meditation and you understand it pretty easy. So they have already approved it, you know. Or maybe on your dreams you can say, well, if it is a yes, show me a green tree. If it is a no, then show me a red light, you know. There are some times where they tell you, well, you do not have enough papers, you know, in your dreams. You see that maybe you're doing something and you do not have enough papers for filling that subscription. It means that you do not have enough compromises for pay what you're trying to negotiate. So you need to compromise yourself with something else, something a little bit, that takes you a little bit more effort to completing that negotiation. Or maybe they tell you organize your papers. Why they say organize your papers? Well, maybe because you have compromised yourself to do a lot of things and actually they know that you are not capable of fulfilling them, so they do not want you to get in debt just because, you know. So they are going to tell you organize your papers and you will think actually what can I do, and well, you will do it. Okay. And well, I always tell that first try to compromise yourself with small things. I know that maybe when you say 10 minutes or just 5 minutes of meditation every day, you say, well, it's 5 minutes. But then when you're doing your meditation for those 5 minutes, they seem kind of eternal, because you will always have proofs to do not complete your path of self-realization. So try to begin with the small things, ask for the small things, and at the same time compromise yourself with the small things. Fulfill them, and when you know that you are capable of continuing with something else, then compromise yourself with something bigger, you know. These negotiations are so good for those moments where you want something. Maybe you have not, I don't know, you do not know who is your partner or something like that, and you do not have enough dharma to know. So these negotiations are very good for those kinds of things as well. When you do not have enough dharma, then you can negotiate how to get that you want and begin to work on it so you have what you want. Well, so as I told you, you can propose how to pay it, and you have to complete, or if not, you are going to get in debt. And well, that's not the idea. And these two practices should be done every day. Remember, please, to be concentrated, just doing them. And well, I don't know if maybe you have any question or any suggestion, any I think that everything was clear. Okay, amazing. There is a comment in here that says that, so everything comes back right at you like a boomerang. We seem to forget that in our daily lives. That's right, Angelica. We always need to be clear that everything that we do, it's going to come back to us. So thank you so much for being at this moment with us. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. I really hope that you have liked this conference. So sorry for the inconvenience that we had at the beginning. And well, have an amazing afternoon. Thank you so much for being in here.